Sarah Chen pushed open the glass door of Burger Stop and walked inside. The cool air conditioning hit her face after the hot afternoon sun. She was tired. Very tired. The past few months had been hard on her. Working undercover was never easy, but this case was different. This case was dangerous. She walked to the counter and looked up at the menu board. She already knew what she wanted. She always ordered the same thing when she came here, a double cheeseburger with no pickles. Simple and easy. A young man stood behind the counter. His name tag said Marcus Webb. He looked about 25 years old with short black hair and a friendly smile. He wore the standard Burger Stop uniform, a red polo shirt with the company logo. "Hello, welcome to Burger Stop. What can I get for you today?" Marcus asked. His voice was polite and cheerful. "I'll have a double cheeseburger with no pickles, please," Sarah said. She pulled out her wallet from her bag. Marcus typed her order into the register. Sarah noticed something strange. His hands were shaking. Just a little bit, but she noticed. She was a detective. Noticing small details was her job. Marcus looked up from the register. For just a second, his eyes met hers. There was something in his look, something that made Sarah pay attention. Then Marcus glanced over his shoulder at the manager standing near the kitchen door. The manager was an older man, maybe in his 40s. His name tag said Vincent Park. He had dark hair with some gray at the sides. He was watching them. When Marcus looked at him, Vincent gave a small nod. It was quick. Most people would not have seen it. But Sarah saw it. "That will be $8.50, Marcus said. He took her money and gave her the change. When he handed her the receipt, he pressed it into her palm a little harder than necessary. "Your number is 23. We'll call you when it's ready." Sarah took the receipt and walked to a table near the window. She sat down and looked around the restaurant. It was a Tuesday afternoon around 1 o'clock. The lunch rush should have been over by now. But the place was still busy. Very busy for a Tuesday. She studied the other customers. Some of them looked normal. A few teenagers sitting in the corner booth, an elderly couple eating chicken sandwiches, a mother with 2 small children. But there were others who did not fit. 3 men in expensive suits sitting separately, not talking to each other. A woman in designer sunglasses who had been sitting with an untouched coffee for 20 minutes. A man near the door who kept checking his watch. Sarah had spent years as a detective. She knew when something was wrong. "And something was wrong here, number 23, Marcus called out. Sarah stood up and walked to the counter. Marcus handed her a paper bag. Their eyes met again. He held the bag out to her with both hands. "Extra careful with your order, ma'am," he said. His voice was louder than it needed to be. "Exactly what you asked for." Sarah took the bag. It felt heavier than it should. She nodded at Marcus and walked out of the restaurant. The hot sun hit her again as she crossed the parking lot to her car. She got in and locked the doors. She sat there for a moment thinking. Then she opened the bag. The smell of hot food filled the car. She pulled out the burger wrapper. But there was something else in the bag. Something hard and small. Sarah reached in and pulled out a small black USB drive. Her heart started beating faster. She looked deeper into the bag and found a piece of paper folded up small. She unfolded it carefully. The handwriting on the paper made her breath stop. She knew that handwriting. She had seen it 100 times before. It belonged to Agent David Martinez, her former partner, the man who had disappeared 3 months ago. The note was short. It said, "They're watching. The restaurant is the front. Trust no one at the precinct." Sarah read it 3 times. David was alive. Or he had been alive when he wrote this. But where was he now? And why was he warning her? She looked at the burger. She unwrapped it slowly. The smell hit her immediately. Pickles. The burger had pickles on it. She had ordered it with no pickles. She had been very clear about that. Sarah's stomach turned. Not because of the smell, but because she understood what it meant. David knew she was allergic to pickles. Badly allergic. She had to carry an emergency shot with her at all times. David had known that for years. They had been partners for 5 years before he disappeared. This was a message. A deliberate message. The wrong order was not a mistake. It was a warning. A signal that something was very wrong. Sarah looked up at the restaurant. Through the window, she could see Marcus. He was standing at the counter looking out at the parking lot. Looking at her car. Their eyes met across the distance. Marcus stared at her for 3 long seconds. Then he turned away and went back to work. Sarah started her car and drove away. Her mind was racing. David was alive. He was in trouble. Big trouble. And somehow that young man Marcus was involved. The manager Vincent was involved. Maybe the whole restaurant was involved. But involved in what? David's note said the restaurant was a front. A front for what? And who was watching? Who could she not trust at the precinct? Sarah drove for 20 minutes, making random turns, checking her mirrors. No one was following her. Finally, she pulled into a quiet parking garage downtown. She parked on the 3rd level, far from any other cars. She pulled out her laptop from under the passenger seat. She always kept it with her. Years of detective work had taught her to be prepared for anything. She plugged in the USB drive. The screen showed a password prompt. Sarah thought for a moment. Then she typed in a series of numbers. It was the date she and David had closed their first case together. The drive unlocked. Files appeared on the screen. Lots of files. Documents, spreadsheets, photos, videos. Sarah started opening them. What she saw made her blood run cold. Bank records, money transfers, names and dates, and the names she recognized. Police officers from her precinct, captains, lieutenants, even her supervisor, Captain James Harrison. They were all there, all taking money. Large amounts of money. But where was the money coming from? Sarah opened more files. She found the answer. The money was being moved through Burger Stop. Through fake orders and fake transactions, someone would place a large catering order that never got made. The money would go into Burger Stop's account. Then it would be transferred to different bank accounts. Clean money that looked legitimate. Sarah kept reading. She found video files, security camera footage from inside Burger Stop. She clicked on one video. It showed the restaurant late at night after closing time. The lights were dim. A group of men sat at a table in the back. She recognized some of them. Police officers, high-ranking officers. They were meeting with other men she did not recognize. Passing envelopes across the table. Another video showed more meetings. Different nights. Different people. But always the same pattern. Always after closing time. Always at Burger Stop. Sarah opened more files. She found something that made her stop breathing. A video file labeled with a date from 3 months ago, the day David disappeared. She clicked on it. The video showed David walking into Burger Stop. It was late afternoon. He ordered food at the counter. Marcus was working that day too. David sat down and ate. Then Vincent, the manager, came over and sat with him. They talked for a few minutes. Sarah could not hear what they were saying. The video had no sound. Then David stood up and followed Vincent toward the back of the restaurant. Toward the kitchen. Toward the service door. The video showed them go through the door, but it never showed David coming back out. Not through that door. Not through the front door, never. Sarah felt sick. What had happened to David that day? Was he still alive? The note suggested he was. But where was he hiding? She looked through more files. She found a document that listed transactions by date. Every Friday at 2 in the afternoon, a large cash deposit was made to the restaurant. Every Friday, like clockwork. And after each deposit, multiple catering orders were placed. The addresses for these orders were police stations, government buildings, courthouses. The corruption was bigger than she had imagined. Much bigger. And if David's note was right, she could not trust anyone at her precinct. Anyone could be part of this. Anyone could be taking money. Sarah looked at the date on her phone. Today was Tuesday. That meant the next big deposit would happen in 3 days. Friday afternoon. She had 3 days to figure out what to do. She could not go to her captain. His name was in the files. She could not go to internal affairs. Several of their officers were listed too. She could not even go to the FBI. David's files suggested that some local FBI agents might be compromised as well. She was alone. Alone with information that could get her killed. Information that had probably gotten David killed. Or worse, forced him into hiding for 3 months. Sarah closed her laptop and sat in the dark parking garage. She needed a plan. But first she needed to know if David was really alive. She needed to know if Marcus could be trusted. She needed to go back to Burger Stop. But she would have to be careful. Very careful. If the wrong people found out she had that USB drive, she would disappear just like David. And no one would ever know the truth about the corruption that was rotting her city from the inside out. Sarah started her car and drove home. She would go back to Burger Stop tomorrow, and this time she would be ready for whatever came next. Sarah spent all night studying the files from the USB drive. She did not sleep. She could not sleep. Every document, every video, every transaction record told her the same thing. Her police department was corrupt, deeply corrupt, and she was working for people who were criminals. By morning, Sarah had a plan. She could not just walk into Burger Stop and start asking questions. That would get her killed. She needed to be smart. She needed to watch and learn. She needed to become a regular customer, someone who came in often enough to not look suspicious, but not so often that she stood out. Wednesday morning, Sarah went to Burger Stop at 7:30. The breakfast rush was just starting. She ordered a coffee and an egg sandwich. Different people were working the morning shift. Not Marcus. Not Vincent. Just two young women who looked tired and bored. Sarah sat in a corner booth and watched. Nothing unusual happened. Just a normal fast food restaurant serving breakfast. She came back at noon. Lunch rush. The line was long. Marcus was working the register. He saw her come in, but his face showed nothing. No recognition, no signal. He treated her exactly like every other customer. Sarah ordered a chicken sandwich and fries. When Marcus handed her the bag, he said nothing special. Just have a nice day. Sarah ate in her car and watched the restaurant. She wrote down license plate numbers of cars that stayed parked for a long time. She noted when employees took breaks. She watched who came and went through the back door. Thursday morning, she came back at 9. Slow time between breakfast and lunch. This time, Vincent was there, restocking supplies behind the counter. Sarah ordered just a coffee. Vincent barely looked at her. She sat and drank her coffee slowly, watching everything. At 10:15, a man in an expensive suit walked in. He did not order food. He went straight to Vincent. They talked quietly for a moment. Vincent nodded and pulled a white envelope from under the counter. The man took it and left. The whole thing took less than 30 seconds. But Sarah saw it, and she understood. This was how they did it. Small handoffs throughout the day, nothing that would draw attention. Sarah came back Thursday afternoon at 2. Different shift, different workers. She ordered a burger and watched again. She saw 3 more small exchanges. Envelopes changing hands. Quick conversations. Always brief. Always casual looking. By Thursday night, Sarah had learned the restaurant's rhythms. Morning shift was clean. Just regular workers serving regular food. Afternoon shift was when things happened. That was when Vincent worked. That was when the exchanges took place. And Friday afternoon at 2 was when the big deposit happened. Friday morning, Sarah woke up knowing this was the important day. According to David's files, every Friday at 2 in the afternoon, someone brought a large amount of cash to Burger Stop. Then the money got moved through the system, cleaned, distributed. This was the day that mattered. Sarah arrived at Burger Stop at 1:30. She wanted to be there early. She wanted to see everything. She ordered a burger and fries and sat in the same corner booth. The restaurant was busy with the lunch crowd. Marcus was working. So was Vincent. At 1:55, a white delivery van pulled up outside. Not a Burger Stop delivery van, just a plain white van with no writing on it. A man got out. He was big, over 6 feet tall with broad shoulders. He wore jeans and a blue work shirt. He carried a large brown paper bag, the kind that might hold takeout food. But Sarah knew it did not hold food. The man walked into Burger Stop and went straight to Vincent. No ordering, no pretending to be a customer. Vincent saw him coming and immediately walked to the back office. The big man followed. They disappeared through the office door. Sarah watched the clock. 2 minutes passed, 3, 5. At the 7-minute mark, the big man came out. He was not carrying the bag anymore. He walked out of the restaurant, got in his van, and drove away. Vincent came out of the office 2 minutes later. He looked calm, relaxed, like nothing had happened. He went back to work, helping customers, managing his staff. But Sarah knew what had just happened. A huge amount of cash had just been delivered, and now it would start moving through the system. Sarah finished her food and left. She drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and opened her laptop. She logged into a secure connection and started monitoring. David's USB drive had given her access codes to Burger Stop's financial systems. She could see transactions as they happened. At 2:20, the first transfer went through. $50,000 moved from Burger Stop's main account to an account belonging to a catering company. But Sarah had researched that company. It did not exist. It was a shell. Just a fake name on paper, 230. Another transfer, 30,000 to a different account. This one was registered to a cleaning service. Another fake company, 245. 25,000 to a business consulting firm. Also fake, it went on for an hour. By 4 o'clock, over $300,000 had been moved out of BurgerStop's accounts and into various shell companies. From there, Sarah knew it would be moved again, split up, cleaned, eventually landing in the personal accounts of corrupt police officers, judges, and city officials. Sarah closed her laptop. She had seen enough for today. But she still did not know how to contact David. She still did not know if she could trust Marcus. She needed to make a move. A careful move. Saturday morning, Sarah went back to BurgerStop. It was busy with weekend breakfast customers. Families with kids. Couples getting coffee. Marcus was working again. Sarah got in line and waited. When she reached the counter, she ordered a simple breakfast sandwich. For here or to go? Marcus asked. His voice was flat, professional. To go, Sarah said. She looked directly at him. I need to know something. About a special order I received earlier this week. Marcus's expression did not change, but she saw his jaw tighten slightly. All our orders are made fresh, ma'am. If there was a problem, I apologize. No problem, Sarah said quietly. But I want to make sure I can order that same special meal again. The exact same way. Marcus stared at her for a long moment. The line was building up behind Sarah. Other customers were getting impatient. Finally, Marcus spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Come back Monday. Lunchtime. 11:30 exactly. Order the fish sandwich meal. Listen carefully to everything I say. Sarah nodded and paid for her food. She left without saying anything else. Her heart was pounding. Monday. She had to wait until Monday. 2 more days, the weekend felt like forever. Sarah spent the time reviewing every file on David's USB drive again. She made notes. She created a map showing all the connections between people. Police officers connected to judges, connected to politicians, connected to businessmen. The corruption network was massive. It reached into every part of the city government. Sarah also did research on Marcus Webb. She used police databases that she still had access to. Marcus was 26 years old. He had a younger sister named Jenny, age 19. Their parents had died in a car accident 5 years ago. Marcus worked full-time at BurgerStop and took night classes at the community college. He had no criminal record. He seemed like a normal young man trying to make a living, but he was clearly involved in whatever was happening at BurgerStop. The question was how and why. Was he being forced to help? Or was he part of the corruption? Sunday night, Sarah could not sleep again. She kept thinking about Monday, about what Marcus might tell her, about whether David was really alive, about whether this was all a trap. Monday morning came slowly. Sarah dressed carefully. She wore casual clothes but kept her badge and gun concealed under her jacket. She drove to BurgerStop and parked 3 blocks away. She wanted to be able to leave quickly if she needed to. She walked to the restaurant at exactly 11:25. She wanted to be early. She wanted to see if anything looked wrong before she went inside. The parking lot looked normal. Cars and trucks coming and going. Customers walking in and out. At 11:28, Sarah walked through the front door. The restaurant was moderately busy. Not packed, but not empty either. Perfect for what she needed to do. She got in line. Marcus was at the register. When she reached the counter, Sarah spoke clearly. I'd like a fish sandwich meal, please. Marcus nodded. He typed her order into the register. Then he spoke, his voice calm and clear, saying each word carefully. 1 fish sandwich, no tartar sauce, extra lettuce. Side of fries, light salt. Medium cola, extra ice. Your number is 47. Service door will be unlocked in exactly 12 minutes. Sarah understood immediately. This was not just an order confirmation. This was a set of instructions. The service door. 12 minutes. She paid and took her receipt. She sat in a booth with a view of the hallway that led to the bathrooms and to the service door that Marcus had mentioned. She watched the clock on her phone. 11:32. 11:40. 11:45. Other customers came and went. Marcus worked the register. Vincent was in the back office. Everything looked normal. 11:59. Sarah stood up and walked toward the bathroom hallway. She glanced around. No one was watching her. She walked down the hall past the bathroom doors. At the end of the hall was a gray metal door marked Employees Only. The service door. Sarah pushed on it gently. It opened. Behind the door was a storage area. Shelves filled with paper cups, napkins, cleaning supplies, boxes of frozen food, a walk-in freezer. Everything you would expect in a restaurant storage room. But at the back of the storage area was another door. It was partially open. Light came through the crack. Sarah moved forward slowly. Her hand went to her concealed weapon. She was ready for anything. She pushed the door open. Inside was a small office. Computer screens on a desk. Filing cabinets. Stacks of papers. And sitting at the desk, looking thinner and older than she remembered, was David Martinez. He was alive. David looked up at her. His eyes were tired. He had a beard now, rough and uneven. He wore old clothes that looked like they had not been washed in days, but he was alive. 3 months, Sarah, David said. His voice was rough, like he had not used it much lately. I've been living in the space above this office for 3 months. In the walls. In the ceiling. Hiding like a rat. Sarah closed the door behind her. David, what happened? We all thought you were dead. They wanted me dead, David said. I got too close. I found out about the money. About the corruption. They tried to kill me that day I came here. Vincent was supposed to poison my food, but Marcus warned me, told me not to eat it. Helped me hide instead. Why didn't you contact me sooner? Sarah asked. David stood up and walked to the computer screens. Because they're setting you up, Sarah. Look at this. He turned one of the screens toward her. It showed a news article with tomorrow's date. The headline read, Detective Sarah Chen under investigation for evidence tampering. Below it were documents. Police reports with her signature. Evidence logs that had been changed. All pointing to her as a corrupt officer. Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. That's not real. I never signed those documents. I know, David said. But it will be real tomorrow. They're going to destroy you just like they tried to destroy me. You're getting too close to something. Or they think you are. Either way, you're the next target. Sarah sat down heavily in a chair. This could not be happening. Her career. Her reputation. Everything she had worked for. All about to be destroyed by fake evidence. We have to stop them, she said. We will, David replied. But we only have one chance. We have to hit them all at once. Everyone. If even one person gets away, they'll activate their emergency plan. All the evidence will disappear. And we'll both end up dead. Sarah looked at David, her partner, her friend. He had been living in hiding for 3 months. Waiting. Planning. And now it was time to fight back. Tell me what we need to do, Sarah said. David pulled out a chair for Sarah and sat down across from her. The small office felt cramped and stuffy. Papers covered every surface. Multiple computer screens glowed in the dim light. This had been David's home for 3 months. His prison and his war room. Let me show you everything, David said. He turned to his computers and started pulling up files. That USB drive I sent you was just the beginning. I've been documenting everything that happens here. Every transaction. Every meeting. Every person who comes and goes. Sarah watched as David opened file after file. Videos of late-night meetings. Photos of money being exchanged. Audio recordings of conversations. Bank statements showing millions of dollars moving through fake companies. The evidence was massive and damning. There are 47 police officers involved, David explained. 12 judges. 5 city council members. 3 state representatives. Even 2 FBI agents from the local field office. This corruption network touches everything in this city. How did it start? Sarah asked. How did Burger Stop become the center of all this? David leaned back in his chair. Vincent Park, he's the key. 8 years ago, Vincent witnessed a murder. Wrong place, wrong time. He saw a city council member kill a business rival. The council member gave Vincent a choice. Help us or die. Vincent chose to live. So they forced him to let them use his restaurant, Sarah said. Exactly. Burger Stop became the perfect front. Cash business. Lots of daily transactions. Easy to hide illegal money among the legitimate income. Vincent does what they tell him. Keeps the books. Manages the handoffs. Coordinates the meetings. He's the hub that makes everything work. Sarah thought about Vincent. The tired-looking manager who seemed so ordinary. Does he want to be part of this? No, David said. He hates it. Every day of it. But he's trapped. They've made it clear what happens to people who try to leave or talk. He's seen 3 people die over the years, made to look like accidents or suicides. He knows the same thing will happen to him if he steps out of line. What about Marcus? Sarah asked. How does he fit into this? David's expression softened slightly. Marcus is a good kid. His younger sister Jenny got arrested 16 months ago. Drug possession, but it was a setup. Planted evidence. The corrupt cops used that technique to force people to cooperate. They told Marcus they would make the charges disappear if he helped them. If he kept watch. Reported anything unusual. Made sure Vincent stayed in line. So Marcus is being forced to help too, Sarah said. Yes. But Marcus is also the one who saved my life. That day 3 months ago when I came here, I had already figured out most of the corruption network. I came to meet with Vincent. I wanted to offer him protection in exchange for testimony. But Vincent was scared. He told me to leave, said it was too dangerous. David paused and took a deep breath. I ordered food while I tried to convince him. A burger and fries. Vincent went back to the kitchen to prepare it himself. Marcus was working that day. He saw Vincent put something in my drink. Poison. Marcus pretended to trip and spilled the whole tray. Then he pulled me aside and whispered that I needed to run, that they were going to kill me. But you didn't run, Sarah said. I couldn't. If I ran, they would know someone warned me. They would have killed Marcus and his sister. So Marcus hid me instead. There's a small space above this office, behind the ceiling panels. Marcus brought me food at night when the restaurant was closed. Brought me a laptop so I could work. For 3 months I've been living up there, documenting everything, building the case that will bring them all down. Sarah looked around the office. And Vincent doesn't know you're here? He knows now. He figured it out about a month ago. Found me climbing down one night to use the bathroom. But Vincent didn't turn me in. I think part of him is glad. Glad that someone is finally going to stop all this. He's tired of being controlled. Tired of being part of something evil. David stood up and walked to a filing cabinet. He pulled out a thick folder. This is the evidence we need. But we can't just hand it to the police or FBI. Too many of them are corrupt. We need to go higher. State level. Federal level. People who aren't connected to this city's corruption network? Who? Sarah asked. I've been making contacts carefully, slowly, through encrypted channels. There's a federal prosecutor in the state capitol. Her name is Amanda Foster. She's been investigating municipal corruption for years. She's clean. I've verified it. She has no ties to anyone in this city, and she has the power to bring in federal agents from other regions, agents who aren't compromised. Sarah felt a small spark of hope. So we give her the evidence? Not yet. The evidence alone isn't enough. These people are smart. They have lawyers. They have connections. They can fight charges for years, drag things out, make evidence disappear. We need more than just documents. We need to catch them in the act, all of them at once. David pulled out a calendar and pointed to Friday. This coming Friday, 5 days from now, that's when we make our move. The weekly cash deposit is always the biggest operation of the week. All the major players check in. Captain Harrison usually stops by to collect his cut. Judge Patricia Wong often sends a representative. The money gets distributed quickly. It's the one time when we can catch multiple people actively participating in the crime. How do we do that? Sarah asked. David smiled for the first time since she had arrived. We use their own system against them. Every corrupt transaction is coded through fake food orders. Special orders with specific modifications that mean different things. Extra cheese means a payoff for a police captain. No onions means a judge needs evidence suppressed. Light mayo means someone needs to disappear. Sarah started to understand. We place a fake order, one that calls everyone to a meeting. Exactly. An emergency meeting order. The kind that only gets used when something catastrophic happens. When someone is about to expose the operation. When they all need to meet face to face to coordinate their response. They'll all come. They'll have to. And when they do, federal agents will be waiting. But how do we place that order without them knowing it's fake? Sarah asked. David pulled out a piece of paper and started writing. You place the order. Tomorrow. You walk into Burger Stop as a customer and order a very specific meal. A complicated order with lots of modifications. Each modification is a code word. Together they form a message that says, Emergency meeting Friday at 7 p.m. Critical security breach. All principals required. Sarah watched David write out the order. Double bacon burger, extra cheese, no onions. Add jalapenos. Light mayo. Heavy mustard. Lettuce on the side. Tomatoes double, pickles removed. Special sauce on top. Grilled buns, well-done patty. Extra fries, large drink, no ice, extra cup. For pickup at 7 p.m. for a party of 47 people. 47 people, Sarah said. That's how many corrupt officers there are. Right, and the name you give for the order is Harrison. Captain James Harrison. He's high enough in the network that an order from him would be taken seriously. They'll assume he called the emergency meeting. They'll all show up. Sarah studied the order. What if they figure out it's fake before Friday? They won't. The order will go into their system. Vincent will process it like any other special order. The coded message will go out through their network. By the time anyone thinks to verify with Harrison, it will be too late. They'll all be walking into a trap. And what about us? Sarah asked. Where will we be? David turned to his computers. We'll be watching. I've got cameras hidden around the restaurant. We'll see everyone who arrives. We'll record everything. And the moment they're all inside, we give the signal to Prosecutor Foster. Federal agents move in. Everyone gets arrested at once. Sarah felt her heart racing. It was a good plan. A dangerous plan. But a good one. What if something goes wrong? What if they figure it out? Then we run, David said simply. Marcus has already prepared an escape route for us. A car parked 2 blocks away with fake IDs and cash. If this goes bad, we disappear. Start over somewhere else. But I don't think it will go bad. These people are arrogant. They've been getting away with this for years. They think they're untouchable. That arrogance will be their downfall. The door to the office opened suddenly. Sarah jumped and reached for her weapon. Marcus stepped inside, carrying a tray of food. He looked startled to see Sarah. Sorry, Marcus said. I brought lunch for David. I didn't know you were here. It's okay, David said. Sarah knows everything now. We were just going over the plan. Marcus set the tray down on the desk. He looked at Sarah with nervous eyes. Are you really going to help us? This is dangerous. Really dangerous. If they find out you know, they'll try to kill you. I know, Sarah said. They're already trying to destroy me. I saw the fake evidence. The articles they're going to publish. I don't have a choice anymore. I either fight back or I lose everything. Marcus nodded slowly. My sister Jenny doesn't know anything about this. I've kept her safe. Away from all of it. She's at college now on the other side of the state. If this goes wrong, if something happens to me, someone needs to tell her. Tell her I was trying to do the right thing. Nothing is going to happen to you, David said firmly. We're all going to survive this. And when it's over, you and your sister will be free. The charges against her will disappear. You'll never have to work for these people again. I want to believe that, Marcus said quietly. I really do, Sarah stood up. I need to go. If I stay here too long, someone might notice. David, send me the exact wording for the order. I'll memorize it. Tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m., I'll walk into Burger Stop and place the order, just like a normal customer. Vincent will be working tomorrow, Marcus said. Make sure he's the one who takes your order. He needs to be the one to put it into the system. I will, Sarah promised. David walked her to the door. Sarah, one more thing. Don't tell anyone about this. Not your friends. Not your family, no one. These people have eyes and ears everywhere. If word gets out that you're working against them, they'll move fast. You'll disappear before we can stop them. I understand, Sarah said. She left through the storage room and back into the restaurant. Her mind was spinning with everything she had learned. David was alive but trapped. Marcus was being forced to help criminals. Vincent was a prisoner in his own restaurant. And Sarah herself was about to become the target of a massive setup designed to destroy her career and possibly her life. But now she had a plan. A way to fight back. In 5 days, this would all be over. The corruption would be exposed. The criminals would be arrested. Justice would finally be served. Sarah walked out of Burger Stop into the bright afternoon sun. She got in her car and drove away. She had a lot to do before Friday. A lot to prepare, but for the first time in weeks, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. She was going to take down the most corrupt organization in the city. And she was going to do it by ordering a burger. Tuesday morning arrived with dark clouds covering the sky. Rain was coming. Sarah could feel it in the air. She woke up early. her mind already running through the plan. Today was the day she would place the order. The fake emergency order that would bring down the entire corruption network. Sarah spent the morning memorizing every word. Double bacon burger, extra cheese, no onions, add jalapenos, light mayo, heavy mustard, lettuce on the side, tomatoes double, pickles removed, special sauce on top, grilled buns, well-done patty, extra fries, large drink, no ice, extra cup, for pickup at 7 p.m. Friday. Party of 47. Name Harrison. She practiced saying it out loud. She wrote it down and then burned the paper. She could not make any mistakes. If she got even one detail wrong, the coded message would not make sense. The plan would fail. At 1:30 p.m., Sarah drove to Burger Stop. She wore simple clothes. Jeans and a plain shirt. Nothing that would make her stand out. Just another customer coming in for a late lunch. She parked near the entrance and sat in her car for a moment, calming her breathing. This was it. After this, there was no going back. The trap would be set. Either they would catch the corrupt officers on Friday, or Sarah would have to run for her life. She got out of her car and walked to the restaurant. The lunch rush was ending. Only a few customers sat at tables. Perfect. She did not want a long line behind her. She needed time to place the order properly. Vincent Park stood behind the counter, checking inventory on a tablet. He looked up when Sarah walked in. His face showed nothing. No recognition. No concern. Just a manager doing his job. Sarah walked to the counter. Vincent set down his tablet and smiled politely. Welcome to Burger Stop. What can I get for you today? Sarah took a breath. I'd like to place a special order. For pickup. Of course, Vincent said. He pulled up the order screen on his register. What would you like? Sarah spoke clearly, saying each word carefully. Double bacon burger, extra cheese, no onions. Add jalapenos, light mayo, heavy mustard, lettuce on the side, tomatoes double, pickles removed, special sauce on top, grilled buns, well-done patty, extra fries, large drink, no ice, extra cup. Vincent typed as she spoke. His fingers moved quickly across the screen. His expression did not change, but Sarah saw his hand pause for just a moment when she said, pickles removed. That was one of the key code words. And when do you need this? Vincent asked. Friday, 7 p.m. It's for a large group. How many people? Vincent asked. His voice was still calm, but Sarah saw something change in his eyes. A flicker of understanding. 47, Sarah said. Vincent's fingers stopped moving. He looked up at her. Their eyes met. For 3 long seconds, neither of them spoke. Vincent understood. He knew what this order meant. This was the emergency code. The code that meant the entire operation was in danger. That's a very large order on short notice, Vincent said slowly. We usually need more time for something that size. The situation is urgent, Sarah replied. Price is not an issue. I was told you could handle special arrangements. Vincent nodded. Yes, we can handle it. I'll need a name for the order. Harrison, Sarah said. Put it under Harrison. Vincent typed the name. His jaw was tight. His professional smile had disappeared. That will be quite expensive for a group that size. I'll need to calculate the total cost. That's fine, Sarah said. Just make sure everything is ready on time. This meeting is very important. Sarah paid with cash. Vincent gave her a receipt with the order number. We'll have everything ready for pickup at 7 p.m. Friday, he said. His voice was flat now, emotionless. Sarah took the receipt and left. She did not look back. She walked to her car with steady steps, even though her heart was racing. She had done it. The order was placed. The message was sent. In the next few hours, that coded order would go out through the corruption network's communication system. 47 people would receive a message calling them to an emergency meeting at Burger Stop on Friday at 7 p.m. Sarah drove away and headed to a secure location. She needed to contact David and let him know the order was placed successfully, but she could not go back to Burger Stop. Not today. That would look suspicious. She stopped at a public library downtown. Free Wi-Fi. Lots of people coming and going. She opened her laptop and logged into an encrypted messaging system David had set up. She typed a simple message. Order placed, H received, party of 47 Friday 7 p.m. Within minutes, David replied, confirmed. Vincent processed it. Message is going out now. Stay away from the restaurant until Friday. Be ready. Sarah closed her laptop and sat in the library for a while. Around her, people read books and used computers. Normal people living normal lives. They had no idea what was happening in their city. No idea how deep the corruption ran. The next 2 days felt endless. Wednesday and Thursday dragged by slowly. Sarah went to work at the police station like everything was normal. She filed reports, attended meetings, smiled at her colleagues, all while knowing that many of them were criminals, that they were stealing from the city, taking bribes, destroying evidence, ruining lives. Captain Harrison called Sarah into his office on Thursday morning. "Detective Chen, how's your current caseload?" he asked. Sarah's stomach tightened. Was he suspicious? Did he know something? She kept her voice calm. "Good, sir. I'm closing out the Mitchell robbery case this week. The evidence is solid." "Excellent," Harrison said. He leaned back in his chair. "You're a good detective, Chen. You have a bright future here. Just keep doing what you're doing. Follow the rules. Don't ask too many questions. You understand?" Sarah understood perfectly. This was a warning. A subtle threat. Stay in line or face consequences. "Yes, sir. I understand." "Good," Harrison said. "That's all. Keep up the good work." Sarah left his office. Her hands were shaking slightly. Harrison had no idea that in less than 24 hours he would be arrested, that all his crimes would be exposed, that his bright future was about to end in prison. Thursday evening, Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She almost deleted it, but something made her open it. The message was simple. "Everything is ready. Foster has her team in place. 20 federal agents arriving tomorrow from 3 different states. They'll be positioned around Burger Stop by 6 p.m. You and I will be in the surveillance van 1 block away. Marcus is prepared. Vincent knows what's happening. Stay safe." Sarah deleted the message immediately. She spent Thursday night preparing. She packed a small bag with essentials. Cash. A change of clothes. Her passport. Just in case everything went wrong and she needed to run. She cleaned her weapon and made sure it was fully loaded. She wrote a letter to her mother explaining everything and sealed it in an envelope to be opened, only if Sarah disappeared. Then she tried to sleep. But sleep would not come. Her mind kept running through the plan, thinking of everything that could go wrong. What if someone warned the corrupt officers? What if they did not show up? What if they figured out it was a trap? Finally, Friday morning arrived. Gray skies and cold wind. Sarah dressed in dark clothes. Comfortable shoes. She strapped her weapon to her ankle under her pants. Put her badge in her pocket. She looked at herself in the mirror. In a few hours, this would all be over. One way or another, Sarah left her apartment at noon. She drove to a parking garage downtown, 3 blocks from Burger Stop. David had told her to meet him there. She found the surveillance van on the 3rd level. It was a plain white van with tinted windows. She knocked on the back door. David opened it. He looked different than he had on Monday. He had shaved his beard, cut his hair. He wore clean clothes and looked almost like his old self. "Come in," he said. Sarah climbed into the van. Inside was full of equipment. Screens showing camera feeds from inside and around Burger Stop. Recording devices. Communication systems. Marcus sat in the corner looking nervous. He wore his Burger Stop uniform. "Marcus is going to work his normal shift," David explained. "He'll be our eyes and ears inside. When everyone arrives, he'll confirm their identities. Make sure we have everyone before we give the signal to move in." "Are the federal agents in position?" Sarah asked. David nodded and pointed to one of the screens. "See that repair truck across from Burger Stop? 5 agents inside. The delivery van 2 blocks south, 4 more agents. The sedan at the corner, 2 agents. They're everywhere. Prosecutor Foster is coordinating from a command center downtown. The moment I give her the word, they all move at once." Marcus checked his watch. "I need to go. My shift starts at 4. Vincent will be there already. He's been nervous all week. I think he's scared this won't work." "It will work," David said firmly. "Just do your job like normal. Serve customers. Act like it's a regular Friday evening. When the time comes, you'll get a text from me. That's your signal to step outside. Get clear of the building before the agents move in." Marcus nodded. He looked at Sarah. "Thank you for doing this. For helping us. My sister doesn't know yet, but she'll be so happy when this is over. When she's finally free of those false charges." "We're all going to be free," Sarah said. "After tonight, this city starts fresh. Clean." Marcus left the van and walked toward Burger Stop. Sarah and David watched him on the screens. He entered the restaurant and went to work behind the counter. Vincent was already there, looking tense. The next 2 hours passed slowly. Sarah and David watched the screens. Normal customers came and went. Families getting dinner. Workers grabbing quick meals. Everything looked ordinary. But underneath the surface, a trap was being set. At 6:30 p.m., the first corrupt officer arrived. Lieutenant Michael Barnes. He parked in the lot and walked into Burger Stop. He did not order food. He just found a table in the corner and sat down. Waiting. 6:45. Captain James Harrison arrived. He entered through the back door like he owned the place. Vincent met him and they talked briefly. Harrison looked angry, confused, demanding to know who called this emergency meeting. 7 p.m. They started arriving in groups, judges, police officers, city officials, one after another. Some came in expensive cars, some in plain vehicles. All of them looked worried, uncertain, but they all came. Sarah watched the screens, counting. 30 people, 35, 40. The restaurant was filling up. Vincent had closed the front door and put up a private event sign. No more regular customers would interrupt. 7:15. 45 people inside. Only 2 more to go. 7:20, 46, just 1 more. Sarah's hands were sweating. Who's missing? She asked. David checked his list. District Attorney Kenneth Reyes, he's always late. But he'll come. He has to come. 7:25. Still no Reyes. Inside Burger Stop, people were getting agitated. Loud conversations, arguments. Harrison was shouting at Vincent, demanding answers. 7:28. A black sedan pulled up. Kenneth Reyes stepped out, straightening his expensive tie. He walked to the front door. That's everyone, David said. He pulled out his phone. Time to end this. Sarah felt her heart pounding. This was it, the moment they had been working toward. David dialed Prosecutor Foster's number and spoke one word. Execute. On the screens, Sarah watched as everything happened at once. Federal vehicles surrounded the building. Agents in tactical gear poured out. The helicopter appeared overhead with spotlights. Loudspeakers ordered everyone inside to come out with their hands up. Inside Burger Stop, chaos erupted. People ran toward the back exit. Others froze. Some pulled out phones, trying to call lawyers. But it was too late. Agents were already at every door. Sarah saw Marcus slip out the service entrance and walk quickly away. Good. He was clear. But then Sarah saw Vincent do something unexpected. Instead of staying put, Vincent ran. Not toward the exits. He ran toward the kitchen. Toward the stairs that led to the basement. He's going for the evidence room, David said, already moving. He's going to destroy something. Come on. David threw open the van doors and jumped out. Sarah followed. They ran toward Burger Stop's service entrance, the same route Sarah had used days before. Sarah and David ran through the service entrance and into the storage room. They could hear shouting from the main restaurant area. Federal agents ordering people to the ground. The chaos of 47 corrupt officials realizing they had been caught in a trap. But Sarah and David had a different target. Vincent. He knew where the physical evidence was stored. The documents that could not be digitized. The original papers that proved everything. If he destroyed them, the case would be weaker. Some people might escape justice. David led the way down the narrow stairs to the basement. It was dark. Only a few emergency lights provided dim illumination. The basement was bigger than Sarah expected. It extended beyond the restaurant's footprint. Concrete walls and low ceilings, boxes and equipment everywhere. Vincent, Sarah called out. There's nowhere to go. The building is surrounded. Come out now. They heard movement ahead. The sound of metal on metal. Then Vincent's voice, shaky and desperate. You don't understand. This wasn't supposed to be my life. They forced me into this. Sarah and David moved forward carefully. Their eyes adjusted to the darkness. They saw a door ahead, partially open. Light spilled out from inside. They approached slowly, weapons drawn. The room beyond was small. Concrete walls. Filing cabinets lined one wall. A heavy-duty paper shredder sat in the corner, already running. Vincent stood in front of it, feeding papers into the machine. Tears ran down his face. Vincent, stop, David said firmly. Step away from the shredder. Vincent turned to face them. His hands were shaking. You think this ends with arrests? You think this is the whole network? This is just one city, detectives. One small piece. The documents I'm destroying right now connect to operations in 15 other cities. Names, dates, transactions. If this evidence survives, dozens of people die. Witnesses, informants, people like me who were forced to cooperate. Sarah kept her weapon steady but lowered it slightly. Then we protect them together. But destroying evidence isn't the answer, Vincent, isn't it? Vincent reached into his pocket and pulled out a small remote device. Red light blinked on it. This entire basement is wired with explosives. I've had a dead man switch for 2 years. If I go down, this building goes down. Everyone in it, your corrupt cops, your FBI agents, all of us. Maybe that's the only justice left. Sarah's blood went cold. The device in Vincent's hand was real. She could see the professional design. This was not a bluff. Vincent, listen to me. There are innocent people upstairs, federal agents who are just doing their job. Marcus is out there. You don't want to hurt them. Marcus, Vincent said, and his voice broke. Marcus is a good kid. He doesn't deserve to be part of this mess. His sister doesn't deserve it. But what about me? What about the last 8 years of my life? 8 years of being a slave to these criminals. 8 years of living in fear. 8 years of doing terrible things because I had no choice. David took a step closer. You do have a choice now, Vincent. Right now, this moment. You can be the man who destroyed evidence and killed innocent people, or you can be the man who stood up and testified, who helped take down a massive corruption network, who saved lives instead of ending them. Vincent looked down at the remote in his hand. His thumb hovered over the button. They'll kill me. In prison, on the street, wherever I go. These people have long reach. I'm dead either way. Witness protection, Sarah said quickly. Federal witness protection. A new identity. A new life somewhere far from here. You testify against everyone in this network. In exchange, you disappear. You get to start over. Be someone new. Live without fear. Vincent's hand trembled. What kind of life is that? Always looking over my shoulder. Never using my real name. Never seeing my family again. A life where you can sleep at night, David said softly. A life where you're not controlled by criminals. A life where you get to make your own choices. That's worth something, Vincent. That's worth a lot. For a long moment, Vincent stood frozen. The shredder continued to run, destroying papers. The remote in his hand blinked red. One button press and everything would end. The building. The evidence. All of it. Then slowly, Vincent set the remote on top of a filing cabinet. He stepped back from it. His shoulders sagged. The failsafe is under the shredder. Red wire disarms it. You'll need wire cutters. Sarah moved quickly to secure Vincent while David examined the explosive device. It was sophisticated. Professional work. Not something Vincent could have built himself. Someone had given it to him, probably as insurance. A way to destroy evidence if the operation was ever compromised. David found the red wire Vincent mentioned. He carefully cut it. The blinking light on the remote stopped. The building was safe. Within minutes, FBI agents flooded the basement. They took Vincent into custody. They secured the filing cabinets full of evidence. They photographed everything. The paper trail that would connect this city's corruption to networks across the country. Sarah and David climbed back upstairs. Outside, the scene was controlled chaos. Federal agents had arrested everyone. 47 people sat in zip ties on the parking lot pavement. Captain Harrison, Judge Patricia Wong, District Attorney Kenneth Reyes, all of them. Police officers she had worked with for years. People she had trusted. All criminals. Prosecutor Amanda Foster approached Sarah and David. She was a tall woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. Good work, both of you. This is the largest corruption bust in state history. Maybe in the country's history. The evidence you gathered is overwhelming. These people are going away for a long time. What about Vincent Park? Sarah asked. He was forced into this. He tried to help at the end. Witness protection, Foster confirmed. He's already agreed to testify against everyone. We'll relocate him after the trials. New name, new life. He'll be safe. Marcus appeared from the crowd of onlookers that had gathered. His uniform was still clean. He had gotten out just in time. Is it over? Really over? David nodded. It's over. The charges against your sister will be dropped tomorrow. You're both free. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. He had been carrying this burden for 16 months, working for criminals, afraid every day, and now it was finished. Thank you. Both of you. I don't know how to repay you. You already did, Sarah said. You saved David's life. You helped us take down these criminals. That's payment enough. The federal agents started loading prisoners into transport vehicles. Sarah watched Captain Harrison being led away in handcuffs. He saw her watching and his face twisted with rage. You'll pay for this, Chen. You're finished in this city. Finished. But his threats were empty now. He had no power anymore. No authority. He was just another criminal being taken to jail. Over the next few hours, the scene was processed. Evidence was cataloged. Statements were taken. Sarah and David spent hours being debriefed by federal investigators. They told the whole story. From the moment David found the corruption to the 3 months he spent hiding in Burgerstop's ceiling, to Sarah receiving the USB drive to the final trap that caught everyone. By midnight, it was finished. The criminals were in federal custody. The evidence was secured. The case was built. Now it would move to courts and trials. That would take months, maybe years, but the hard part was done. Sarah and David stood outside Burgerstop as the last federal vehicle drove away. The restaurant was dark now. Yellow crime scene tape covered the doors. It would never open again. The corruption hub was finished. What happens now? Sarah asked. David sighed. Internal investigations at the police department. They'll need to rebuild from the ground up. Hire new officers. New leadership. It'll take years to restore public trust. And us? Sarah asked. What happens to us? Prosecutor Foster offered me a job, David said. Leading a new task force to investigate corruption in other cities. The evidence Vincent was destroying showed connections to 15 other operations. Someone needs to take them down too. Sarah nodded. Will you take it? I think so, David said. This is what I'm good at. Finding corruption, exposing it, making it right. What about you? Sarah looked up at the dark sky. Rain had started to fall. Light drops at first, then heavier. I need a break. A real break. Maybe I'll take some vacation time. Visit my mother. Think about what I want to do next. Being a detective in this city doesn't feel right anymore. Not after everything we've learned. You'd make a good federal agent, David suggested. Foster could use people like you. People who care about justice. People who won't give up, Sarah smiled. Maybe, let me think about it. They stood in the rain for a few more minutes. Then David offered her a ride to her car. They drove through the wet streets in silence. Both of them were exhausted, physically and emotionally drained, but also relieved. The nightmare was over. David dropped Sarah at her car in the parking garage. Get some rest, he said. We'll talk in a few days. Figure out what comes next. Sarah nodded and got out. She watched David drive away. Then she sat in her car for a long time, just breathing, processing everything that had happened. A simple burger order. That's how it had started. A wrong order with pickles. A USB drive hidden in a paper bag. A note from a partner she thought was dead. And from that one moment, everything had changed. A massive corruption network had been exposed. Dozens of criminals arrested. A city given a chance to start fresh. Sarah started her car and drove home. The rain fell harder now. The streets were empty. Most people were asleep, unaware of what had happened tonight. But tomorrow the news would break. The media would report everything. The city would be shocked, angry, betrayed, but also hopeful, because justice had been served. Sarah reached her apartment and went inside. She was too tired to even change clothes. She fell onto her bed and closed her eyes. For the first time in months, she felt safe. The corrupt officers who had been setting her up were in jail. The fake evidence against her would be exposed as lies. Her career was safe. Her life was safe. As she drifted off to sleep, Sarah thought about Vincent, about Marcus, about David, about all the lives that had been controlled and destroyed by corruption, and about how a simple burger order had been the key to setting everyone free. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, investigations, trials, decisions about her future. But tonight Sarah could rest, knowing she had done the right thing, knowing she had helped stop something terrible, knowing that sometimes paying attention to small details can change everything. The rain continued to fall outside. Washing the streets clean, a new beginning for the city, and for Sarah Chen, detective and hero, a chance to decide what kind of life she wanted next. 6 weeks passed. Summer turned to fall. The city changed in ways both visible and invisible. The story of the Burger Stop corruption case dominated the news for days. Then weeks. Reporters dug into every detail. How deep the corruption had run. How many lives had been affected. How much money had been stolen from taxpayers. The arrests continued beyond the original 47. As people started testifying and making deals, more names emerged. Police officers in other districts, government officials in neighboring cities, business owners who had paid bribes. The network had been even larger than David and Sarah had known. Sarah sat in a small coffee shop on a quiet street. It was a Wednesday afternoon. The lunch rush had ended. Only a few customers remained, working on laptops or reading books. Sarah liked this place. It was far from her old police station, far from the memories. She had taken a leave of absence from the police department. The department had insisted, actually, not as punishment, as recognition that she needed time to recover, time to process everything. The department was being rebuilt from the ground up. New leadership, new policies, new officers. Sarah's old captain, Harrison, was awaiting trial in federal prison. 17 other officers from her precinct had been arrested. The coffee shop door opened. Marcus Webb walked in. He looked different than the last time Sarah had seen him. He wore a clean button-down shirt and khakis. His hair was neatly cut. He smiled when he saw Sarah and walked to her table. "Sorry I'm late," Marcus said, sitting down. "Traffic was terrible." "No problem," Sarah said. "I just got here myself." "How are you?" Marcus's smile widened. "Good. Really good. Better than I've been in a long time. I got the job." "The FBI job?" Sarah asked. "Yes," Marcus said, excited. "I start training next month. Financial Crimes Division. They said my experience working inside the corruption network makes me valuable. I know how these operations work from the inside. I can help catch other criminals like the ones at Burger Stop." Sarah felt genuinely happy for him. "That's wonderful, Marcus. You deserve it. After everything you went through, everything you risked to help us." Marcus's expression became more serious. "I couldn't have done it alone. You and Agent Martinez gave me hope, showed me that fighting back was possible. For 16 months I thought I was trapped forever, that Jenny and I would never be free. But you changed that." "How is Jenny?" Sarah asked. "She's amazing," Marcus said. "Started college last month. Full scholarship to study engineering. She doesn't know all the details about what happened. Just that the charges against her were dropped. That she's free. She's so happy, Sarah. She's going to have the life she deserves. The life I always wanted for her." "And Vincent?" Sarah asked. "Have you heard anything about him?" Marcus shook his head. "No, he's in witness protection. They won't tell me where, won't give me any contact information. It's safer that way. But he sent me a letter through his lawyer. Just said he was doing okay. That testifying has been hard, but it feels right. He said it's the first time in 8 years he's been able to sleep without nightmares." Sarah understood that feeling. She had her own nightmares, dreams about what could have gone wrong, about corrupt officers finding out about the plan, about the building exploding, about failing to stop the corruption. But slowly the nightmares were fading, being replaced by better dreams. The coffee shop door opened again. David Martinez walked in. He wore a suit now, professional and clean. He had gained back some of the weight he lost during his 3 months in hiding. His face looked healthier, less haunted. "Sorry I'm late," David said, joining them at the table. "Just came from the prosecutor's office. The trials are moving forward faster than expected. Judge Wong took a plea deal today. 20 years, no parole. Captain Harrison is fighting it, but his lawyer told him he's facing 40 to 50 years if he goes to trial." "Good," Sarah said. "They deserve every year they get." David ordered a coffee and sat back. "I've got news, big news. The federal task force is officially approved. We're going to investigate the 15 cities connected to the Burger Stop network, root out the corruption in each one. It's going to take years, but we're going to do it." "That's great," Marcus said. "Are you leading it?" "I am," David confirmed. "And I want you both to join me. Marcus, I know you're starting FBI training, but after you finish, I want you on my team. Your insights into how these operations work are invaluable. And Sarah, I need someone I trust completely. Someone who won't quit when things get dangerous. Someone who cares about justice as much as I do." Sarah had been expecting this offer. David had mentioned it briefly 6 weeks ago, the night of the arrests. But hearing it formally made it real. A chance to continue fighting corruption, to make a real difference, to do work that mattered. I don't know, Sarah said honestly. Part of me wants to say yes, wants to keep fighting, but another part of me is just tired, David. Tired of the danger. Tired of looking over my shoulder. Tired of seeing how dark people can be. David nodded slowly. I understand. I really do. What I went through living in that ceiling for 3 months thinking every day might be my last. It changes you. Makes you question if it's worth it, is it? Sarah asked. Is it worth it? David was quiet for a moment. Then he looked around the coffee shop. At the people working and reading. Living normal lives. Yes, it's worth it. Because these people deserve to live without corrupt police. Without judges who can be bought. Without city officials stealing their tax money. They deserve justice. Real justice. And if we don't fight for them, who will? Sarah knew he was right. She had always known it. That's why she became a detective in the first place. To help people. To protect people. To make her city safer. The corruption had made her doubt that purpose. But now, with the criminals arrested and the trials moving forward, she could see the impact of their work. The difference they had made. I'll think about it, Sarah said. Give me a few more weeks. Let me clear my head. Figure out what I really want. Take all the time you need, David said. The offer stands whenever you're ready. They talked for another hour, shared stories about what had happened over the past 6 weeks. David told them about the ongoing investigations. How evidence from Burgerstop had already led to arrests in 3 other cities. How prosecutors across multiple states were building cases. How this one operation had exposed corruption that reached the highest levels of government in several places. Marcus talked about his sister. How she had adjusted to college life, made new friends, joined study groups, started thinking about her future career, all the normal things that young people should get to do, without the shadow of false criminal charges hanging over them. Sarah shared less. She talked about taking long walks, reading books, visiting her mother for a week. Simple things, quiet things, the kind of life she had not had time for during years of detective work and undercover operations. Eventually, Marcus had to leave. He had a meeting with his FBI recruitment coordinator. He shook hands with David and hugged Sarah. Whatever you decide, thank you. For everything. You saved my life, and Jenny's life. I'll never forget that. After Marcus left, David and Sarah sat together in comfortable silence. They had been partners for 5 years before David disappeared. They had solved dozens of cases together, built trust over hundreds of hours of police work, and now after everything they had been through with the corruption case, their bond was even stronger. What about you? Sarah finally asked. Are you okay? Really okay? After living in hiding for 3 months? David considered the question carefully. Some days are better than others. I still have moments where I feel trapped, where I look for exits in every room, where I don't trust anyone. But therapy is helping, and having a purpose helps even more. Knowing that what I went through wasn't for nothing. That it exposed something huge, that it's leading to real change. I'm glad, Sarah said. I'm glad you're getting help. I'm glad you're not trying to handle it alone. What about you? David asked. How are you handling it? Sarah thought about the question. I'm getting there. Some days I wake up angry. Angry at the people who corrupted the department I loved. Angry at the years of crimes that went unnoticed. Angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. But other days I wake up proud. Proud that we stopped it. Proud that we didn't give up. Proud that we made a difference, David smiled. You did make a difference, Sarah, a huge difference. This city is better because of what you did. Safer because of your courage. Sarah felt emotion rising in her throat. She had not cried during the entire investigation. Not when she found David's note. Not when she learned about the corruption. Not even on the night of the arrests. She had stayed strong, focused. But now, sitting in this quiet coffee shop with her partner and friend, she felt tears come. It started with a burger, she said, laughing through the tears. A simple burger order. Wrong pickles. And that tiny detail changed everything. David laughed too. We should probably avoid fast food for a while. Stick to coffee and sandwiches. Something safer. Definitely safer, Sarah agreed. They sat together until the coffee shop started closing for the day. Then they walked out into the cool autumn evening. The city looked different now. Cleaner somehow. Like a weight had been lifted. Streetlights flickered on. People walked home from work. Life continued. I'll let you know, Sarah said as they reached her car. About the task force. Give me 2 more weeks. I'll have an answer by then. Take 3 weeks if you need it, David said. This decision is important. It has to be right for you. Sarah drove home as the sun set behind the buildings. She thought about her future, about the offer to join David's task force, about whether she wanted to continue fighting corruption or step away and find a quieter life. When she got home, there was an envelope in her mailbox. No return address, just her name written in careful handwriting. Sarah opened it carefully. Inside was a simple card. The message was short. Thank you for giving me a second chance. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve it. V. Vincent, from wherever he was in witness protection, taking the time to thank her. To let her know he was okay, Sarah put the card on her refrigerator, a reminder of what they had accomplished, of the lives they had saved, of the justice they had served. She made dinner and ate slowly. Then she sat on her couch and opened her laptop. She pulled up the offer letter David had sent her. Details about the federal task force, the mission, the goals, the cities they would investigate, the corruption they would expose. Sarah read it 3 times. Then she picked up her phone and typed a message to David. I'm in. When do we start? The response came back within minutes. Next month. Welcome to the team, partner. Sarah smiled and set down her phone. She had made her choice. The right choice. She would continue fighting. Continue exposing corruption. Continue making a difference because that's what detectives do. They find the truth. They protect the innocent. They bring criminals to justice. No matter how powerful those criminals are, no matter how deep the corruption runs, and sometimes it all starts with a simple burger order, a wrong order that becomes a right one, a small detail that changes everything, a moment that proves that paying attention, refusing to look away, and having the courage to fight back can bring down even the most entrenched corruption. Sarah Chen, detective and now federal task force member, was ready for whatever came next, ready to make a difference, ready to serve justice, ready to prove that good people who work together can defeat evil, one case at a time. Outside her window, the city lights sparkled in the darkness. A city starting fresh, a city being rebuilt, a city that would be better because of the courage of a few people who refused to accept corruption as normal. And in a restaurant that used to be called Burger Stop, now closed forever with a for lease sign in the window, the service door still bore a small mark. A reminder that sometimes the most important battles are not fought with weapons, but with attention to detail, careful planning, and the determination to do what's right. The burger order that saved a city, the evidence that brought down criminals, the courage that changed everything, and the people who proved that justice, real justice, is always worth fighting for. The end.